South Asia Committee of the International Law Section presents the Global Lawyers Summit in association with CNBC TV 18.
The Global Lawyers Summit, organized by the South Asia Committee of the International Law Section in participation with CNBC TV 18, brought together industry leaders, experts, and professionals to explore a diverse array of legal topics. A key highlight of the Global Lawyers Summit was the Managing Partners panel on law, governance, philanthropy, and artificial intelligence, where legal experts engaged in insightful discussions addressing the challenges and opportunities within contemporary law firm management.
I think my first question to all of you, and anyone can answer this first, is what would you change? The one thing that you would change when you started your career in the 90s, the 80s?
I would say AI and IT, because I think thanks to AI and IT, research tools are so easy. Today we see that you can have judgments translated in every local language. Digital land records have all, now been made available, and earlier they were not available. So while there are a lot of downsides working with AI, I think it's really helped make the profession easier. Hybrid working places, people now, ladies, at our firm, we encourage ladies who've had children or who work with husbands on transferable jobs to work from home. And thanks to IT, they've been able to do that. And we have some of our best lawyers who are ladies. So I think that's really been a big driver, IT and AI.
What would you change?
I would have had a creche at the firm earlier than we did. We started about 15 years ago. But I would have started it much earlier when I had my children, if I could have, but somehow it didn't happen. And I think AI and everything else, I would actually learn as I go along. Technology was non-existent when I started practice. Today, we are all tech savvy. We have to be. So that's what you learn along the way. Of course, it makes life much easier. But the only one thing I wanted to change, if I had to go back in time, was to have a daycare center in the office, which we have in our larger offices. So that's the one thing. It's so much easier for women.
Absolutely.
And make medical facilities available.
That's really insightful. Thank you. Ajay?
I mean, let me be contrarian. Frankly, when I look back, nothing actually, and I'll tell you why. The one thing that I do ask myself is that would I have spent 7 years practicing as an accountant, as I did, as you know, from my garage, and become 7 years, 6 years junior to most of my colleagues from college. But I think, frankly, I think the answer there is that till law colleges embrace much more about accounting and finance today, and everybody is more like Professor Rajkumar, who has taken this initiative and gave me an opportunity to speak on this aspect in the college about integrating accounting. Because 5 years residential course, you should be able to make a lawyer come out at least 60% as a chartered accountant. Because you're in-house, you've got fantastic facilities. As CAs, we have no facility, there's no training facility, there's no learning centers, no nothing. And the world of law, business, and the combination of finance, accounting has become ever so critical. So that's the one thing I always ask myself, that would I have changed? The answer is no.
Ajay, actually, it resonates with me because my first job was with this accounting firm called Arthur Andersen in the 90s. And when I joined that firm, I had to stop being a lawyer and be an accountant, because I think they didn't have any patience to hear the legal principles and the application of law. They just wanted to understand how can we get this done and how can we get it done within the legal parameters that were available. And I learned to read a balance sheet there. I was forced to read a balance sheet. I didn't know how to do it. And the thing is that I did law because I didn't want to do math anymore. And I came right back into it.
That is a misconception, by the way, which I cleared at Jindal.
Absolutely. And I
cleared it at Jindal because I asked Rajkumar, what is the basic reason people don't do law? And I asked accounting, and all the lot of students all said, we're scared of maths. I said, do you know, we do no maths. At least you can use a calculator for sure. That's all you need.
Nishant. You're the youngest amongst us, but
So speaking for myself,
Yes.
I ran away from engineering. Right? And, you know, I want to make a confession. Sometimes I do get dreams of writing that engineering exam and wake up in the middle of the night. So I'm glad that I'm a lawyer. But let me give you two answers to your questions. One is slightly more personal one, and then one from the standpoint of how I see things as a law firm leader. What is the one thing I would change? I would be a dispute resolution lawyer. I wish I was better advised when I started my career. And I really feel that the impact and the change that you can bring through dispute resolution is immense. So I wish I could change that one thing. But now when I look at things as a leader in a law firm, I wish I could change my country, my location, because and this is an industry issue. I feel as some of the top law firms in India who interact with clients and various other stakeholders, I really feel that we need to compete in different ways rather than on pricing. Yeah. If you look at fees and rates that law firms charge in this market, I don't think there has been a significant shift in the last 10 years. Whereas in terms of the quality, in terms of just the range of things that law firms do, and law firms in India and each one of us have reinvented ourselves every few years. The kind of advice and the depth of advice that we provide to our clients somehow doesn't match up with the kinds of rates that we are able to command in this market. And I really feel that we ought to not compete on rates and hold our rates.
as the only woman on the panel, I wanted to ask you this from your perspective. What do you define success as? What is your definition of success? Is it just profitability? Is it something that is softer? What do you feel success is?
Being in a competitive world, in a competitive scenario, from pure business perspective, I think profitability is very important, and none of us can ignore profitability because ultimately people have to be paid and costs will increase. I think profitability is important. But I think equally important, if you ask me, is a satisfaction that people get that they are working in a particular firm. And I think unless you have that satisfaction, the feeling of belonging beyond the money, correct, I think you cannot succeed. So whether you are doing something more like providing some of the services, facilities, enabling women, creating the atmosphere for women, because at least in our firm, women are about between 45 and 55% of the total number of associates and partners that we have. So given that, unless you are creating something plus for them, it's going to be very difficult for all of us if we don't manage that aspect, the softer aspect. Today's day and age, mental health, a very big factor. You need to recognize that. You need to have programs for mental health. And I think the faster we recognize and provide for that, it's very, very important.
Vivek, this question is for you. This much touted about AI and technology and it taking over our lives, and and the irony is, the paradox there is that we created this AI. It's the human being that has created this AI to make our lives more easy, more convenient, more efficient. And today, a lot of us fear it because we feel that it's going to replace us. It's going to take away our quality of life, our livelihood. So do you think AI is a friend or a foe, or it's both? What do you think? Especially in the legal industry.
I think that really depends on how you deal with AI. For the reasons I said earlier, I think it could be a hugely helpful, it could be a huge friend, but you can't let it, control you. And my daughter's a first-year associate with one of India's top firms, and the other day she told me she was fed up of doing diligences. She said, "Can't AI do this all?" And I said, "But then if they do it probably could. But then when you become how will you become a senior associate unless you learn all this and a partner and be able to supervise what AI has done?" So for those in the audience, I don't think AI is really going to be taking away your jobs, because you have to learn from grassroots to go up and supervise what AI is doing. So to repeat myself, you can use AI to your benefit, but don't be overly reliant on it so it really controls you.
Nishant, I want to ask you this. It's just sort of expansion of that same question to you. We have a lot of young people in this audience, and I think for them, they want to understand. They want to know what their relevance will be in terms of what is it that they need to do to up their game, for us to actually look at them and say, okay, you're still important for us to hire freshers, and it's not because AI is doing everything that you guys already taught. So what is it that they need to understand?
I think AI and perhaps other new technologies that are coming out are both a friend and a foe. And it really depends on how you embrace technology. Someone said that, the future lawyer is the lawyer who embraces AI successfully, right? And I can say that some of the things that we've seen, right, so far in terms of technologies that are available are extremely promising. They're very, very promising. But they're still at a nascent stage. And it is for lawyers to actually pick up those technologies at the nascent stage and make them better. There's a big, big gulf between technology and product, right? And for some of these technologies to be meaningfully used in law firms, lawyers need to work on those technologies and make them great products.
Ajay, can I ask you your thoughts on this?
I think it's in between. It's neither a friend nor a foe. It's a tool. I think, if you look back, it's not that we, at least all of us who have practiced for the last 20, 30 years, 40 years, there have been many game changers in our own careers. Internet, for one. Absolutely. And it changed the way actually, if you go back even before internet, Pallavi will remember FIPP applications. We were probably filing 150 applications a year. True. And as liberalization happened, that was a revenue stream that went away. So it's not that we haven't seen change. Now, every change sometimes is a greater change from the past, but we see it for people who haven't been through that journey. They see this amazing change and they think, oh my God, this is going to, just destroy us. So I don't think it's either a foe or a friend. It's a tool. And a tool always, as Vivek said, has to be managed by people. And Nishant, I think, had the same theme, basically. So you have to embrace it. You have to accept that there are certain things it will do, which will take away the need to do certain other things that you today do physically. But what will happen is that the quality of application to the output of AI will require probably a higher standard of examination.
South Asia Committee of the International Law Section presents the Global Lawyers Summit in association with CNBC TV 18.
The next question that I have, Nishant, to you. We keep talking to clients and advising them and expounding wisdom on ESG and what they need to do and how they need to be more socially conscious. What do we do as firms? What do you do as a firm? How do you weave ESG into the way you operate your firm?
As an organization, we do take it very seriously. In fact, we have internal ESG newsletters going out every fortnight, where the newsletter actually talks about the kinds of advancements we have made as an organization when it comes to ESG, right? We've appointed an advisor who is helping us become a net zero organization by 2030, right? And that means that some of the things that we do and some of the things that we do on a daily basis, right? Whether it's use of plastic, use of paper, even use of water and resources, right? Is something that we're trying to limit and be really conscious when we are, and mindful when we are using these things. When it comes to the social aspect of things, as a firm, we have really come to a point where we feel that we need to do more about education, right? And so we have adopted some schools in parts of Maharashtra. When it comes to governance, I think governance is more inward-looking, right? We take governance and how we manage the firm very, very seriously. We're an extremely transparent organization. In fact, we run it very much like a listed company. And as management, we feel we are answerable to our stakeholders.
How insightful and how different each of you are doing things and making an impact on society. What about you, Pallavi?
I think 2 or 3 aspects I'd like to highlight.
Yeah.
One is, as you said, family run, but professionally managed and professionally run. We've just expanded our managing board to bring many other people on the board and training them and grooming them for the future. And because you can bring people, but you need to train and groom them and help them experience the trade-offs that need to be made when you're taking decisions. How will you take? How will you be inclusive in your decision making? I think that's what a leader does effectively. So training them to be the leaders of the future, I think, is quite important. Governance, we also have our different committees that sort of manage things. And then, of course, we have our management board. The managing partners, of course, run on a day-to-day basis. So it's pretty much like a normal company does. You have your audit committee, you have your risk committee, you have all these sort of things, the way we manage the firm. Maybe we are all for size that now we need all of these things rather than, just making it look fancy. You need it, actually.
And Naina, since you're not espousing the virtues of your firm, a few months ago when I was with our colleagues in our firm planting trees, there were several people from your firm also planting trees.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that, Vivek. The final question, and this is for all the panelists, and maybe you can say it again in one word or one sentence, is what piece of advice, because I see so many young lawyers, young students who are on the, on the crux of becoming lawyers. So what one piece of advice that the doyens of the legal industry here would say to them for them to show up, lead, and live in this new world? Shall I go with Nishant first, the youngest?
I'd say perseverance and passion for what you do. That's what this is about. And I think when I look at it as somebody who's leading a law firm, I feel as organizations, each one of us are actually custodians of careers of lawyers who join us, right? And we owe them a certain responsibility to give them an environment to become great lawyers. But to become great lawyers, the initiative really needs to come from within, right? Why do we use the word practice? We practice because, it is a practice. Each one of us practices every day, and practice makes perfect, right? And you cannot get to becoming a successful lawyer who makes meaningful impact in clients' lives without the perseverance and passion that it takes to get there.
Thank you, Nishant. I think that's very well said. Ajay.
I have never compromised on certain basic things that are important to me. One of them is my workout regime. All through my career, I worked out every day, and clients are aware that that particular time is not available. But what I'm trying to say is that one thing was always clear: we are in a business where we are dependent on demands of our clients. And telling a client that I am not available for you is simply not an option when you're managing a firm. And now as you get into that, and I mean, so many of us here, we have to answer to our clients. And that is the only message we try and convey to people.
I would tell all the youngsters they are becoming lawyers at a very exciting time in India. Yeah. See India's growth, see the scope of the legal work that you can do, how challenging, how exciting, how invigorating it is, whether you are a disputes lawyer or you are a corporate lawyer or a projects lawyer. I think so much is happening. Feel the excitement that around you, the kind of work that you will do wherever you are, and passion and perseverance, grit, determination of just being there every single day to work.
What about you, Vivek?
So I'd say work hard, but within limits. Don't burn yourself out. Speaking for myself, I've never worked, ridiculous hours. But when you're working, work hard and meaningfully. And I'm reminded of the famous lines from Rudyard Kipling's If you can fill the unforgiving moment with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the world and all that's in it. And what is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Thank you. I think that was a really, really awesome panel. And one final word from me, if you ask me, what is my advice to them, is that when you fall, learn to pick yourself up. Because you're going to fall 1,000,000 times, but pick yourself up 1,000,001 times.
Very true.
South Asia Committee of the International Law Section presents the Global Lawyers Summit in association with CNBC TV 18.